Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the major HIT-44SM5. This is a strike marking tool, is what it is. They have a variety of tools used. They have a tremendous variety of tools used through the process that you would use in the process of prepping doors and frames for lock sets. This is a tool that you're going to use most certainly in the frame, and it's going to be used for strikes that are 2 3/4 tall, namely deadbolt strikes, but I would think you could use it for T-strikes as well, at least to give you part of it going. Overall height, predictably, is 2 3/4. Overall width, it's going to be 1 1/8, which is going to be typical for deadbolt strikes, but be mindful. You want to be sure of what the width is of your hardware before you go marking your wood frames for a strike that's 1 1/8 wide. You might need one that's perhaps 1 inch wide, but 2 3/4, that's where you're going to see standard deadbolts prepped for that, and that's really what this is going to be used for. However, what we would call a T-strike, because it looks like the letter T when you turn it on its side, that's also 2 3/4 tall. There's more work to be done because of the lip that projects off the face of the, or the rabbet of the frame, but at least this tool will allow you to get a good start on that. Weighs 1.18 pounds. This is going to include a couple of bushings, and what's important about that is this is for the 1 1/8. Let me confirm that. It might be 1 inch, forgive me. Yeah, 1 inch. And then there's one for 7/8. So when you are prepping the jamb, you'll drill a hole into it, and generally you'll start with perhaps a 1 inch diameter bit. And when you drill that 1 inch hole first in the jamb without doing anything else, that's the hole that this strike marker is going to rest in. Once you have it positioned where you like it, and you've made sure that it's vertical, not rotated. That looks awful when it's not straight. You do have to stand back, and you might even want to take a closer look at that. Boy, it's interesting. It might be fun to modify one of these to add a small torpedo level to it. Yeah, you should be able to easily add a torpedo level to this because it's, you know, a lot of this is made of steel, so you can really see if you're vertical or not. Assuming the jamb is vertical as well. But I've marked for these, and I had it askew a little bit, and you can see right away. So you want to be careful that you're getting it straight, and then give it a good whack. Generally what I'll do is I'll hit it to the point where I've left a mark, but coming at it with a 4-pound mini sledge may not be the idea. So being able to wrap this so that it leaves you a nice preparation in your jamb. It could be press wood. It could be veneer that you are going to tear the veneer when you're hitting it, so you'll want to be really careful. I don't generally use strike marking tools because I would use a template and a router in practically every situation, but that's my approach on this. If you were to have, for some reason, the need for a 7/8 hole, you would use this bushing, and that would align that very well. It also includes 2 Allen wrenches. One you'll need for in here, the larger one, the smaller one for your blades, which you can remove and have resharpened. This would also work out really nice in a pair of doors, a pair of wood doors, where the inactive you're going to prep. This would be ideal for that. You'd be able to get that on the edge of the door, and you'd be able to hit that pretty well. And then once you're done marking the prep, what I do is I might use a utility blade to make sure that my cut is the right prep. That my mark that I've left is continuous, because I want to then go in with my chisel and evacuate that material. But the thing about this type of tool, after you have hit it sufficiently, you're pretty much going to be to the proper depth necessary so that you've got the right depth of what becomes the mortise for your hardware, and getting a nice clean mark struck with the tool to the proper depth will make the hammer and chisel component much faster and cleaner. When you're doing this work, absolutely invest in an 1 1/8 wide chisel. You don't want to use a 3/4 and have to chisel twice, things of that nature. Nice and clean. Generally what I would do is I'd have that 1 1/8, and I would mark my lower and upper to make sure it's clean. I would even own a 2 3/4 or a 2 1/8, whatever I'm prepping for, and I would strike that as well. This, in my opinion, is just a faster way to mark the hole rather than taking the strike and tracing it with a pencil and then however you're going to go about doing it. Hitting it with your chisel multiple times. This is a little bit cleaner, a little bit faster, and that's my opinion. Now, how to locate this? Well, obviously following the template and the installation instructions. The center line of the mark needs to be the center line of the hardware. The center line of the hardware is generally the center line of the thickness of the door. Meaning if you've got an 1 3/4 thick door, the prep for your deadbolt's right in the center of that at 7/8. But a couple of problems with that. Your door may not be 1 3/4. It might be 1.71. It can, and very often is, not exactly the nominal size. And that will attribute to your prep not being exactly where you need it. Have you ever prepped for a deadbolt or a lock and then you found you've got to go back and file the strike? Well, something wasn't centered right. And that's one instance when the door thickness is not exactly what you need it to be, where that comes into play. I like the template idea because when I tighten my Porter cable 517 down to the edge of the door, it centers on whatever the thickness is, provided it can handle the thickness. And then having a hole drilled, putting the template on there to the right height, router, and you're done pretty quickly, and very cleanly as well. The center line of the thickness of the door, let's assume that's where it's prepped. You have to get that translated to the rabbet area, not necessarily the center. Your door could be inset 1/16 of an inch. Your door could be inset anything, really, an inch, whatever. Your door could be flush with the jamb. So if you've got an 1 3/4 thick door, you're very likely to have about an 1 15/16 plus or minus rabbet area. So translating from the face of the stop to the center line, that's difficult because you don't know the margin between the face of the stop and where the door comes to rest. So there's a lot of opportunities to have to go back with a file. Well, you don't want to do that. And an old carpenter's trick is they would literally install the deadbolt, or at least the latch bolt, and on the edge of the latch bolt, one old timer told me he would put lipstick on there. He would go to the drugstore, he would buy red lipstick, he'd always have that, and he would put that on the edge of his latch bolt, and he would then throw it, is what he would do. And then he would know where to mark. He would get that marked, and that's where he would drill his hole, and then have his strike marking tool exactly where he needed it to be. Now, I always thought that idea was ingenious about marking it with the lipstick. However, there is a less messy way to do that. There is a strike locator. There's a strike marker that if I don't forget, I'll show you. That once you've got the hole drilled in the door, the cross bore and the edge bore, you can stick this tool in the hole in the edge of the door, and then with your finger, push this strike marking tool, which is cylindrical, will fit in the hole, and it has a small nail point on the edge. That will mark where your paddle bit needs to be centered, and that's all there is to it. And that would be the way to go about using this. Let's switch to the screen view, and let's take a closer look at all of the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, here's the item that we are looking at. Let's take a look at some photographs that we have first of the item. There's its packaging, the contents, the tool itself, those screws that will hold those blades on there. I'm quite sure we can buy those blades separately for you, so we'll take a look. The underside. Close-up of that cutting edge. You can see here where there's a void, obviously where the blades don't make perfect contact. That's where you kind of have to clean it out with your chisel or your utility blade, just to make that continuous. And then there is an image of just the tools that are included. Okay. Extended description down below tells us it's a strike marking tool, 1 1/8 by 2 3/4 deadbolt and T-strikes. Here's your link to your replacement blade set. Nice. If you're going to do a lot of this work immediately out of the blocks, order a set of these. If you don't expect to do very many, I wouldn't. But if you know that you're going to be doing a large job, I'd have a set of blades, because after you take these off and send them in for sharpening, they're never the same, in my experience. I have a sharp set of blades new at all times, and then I relegate my sharpened blades to emergency backup only, or give it, or pass the tool on to someone who you know won't take care of it as nearly as well as you will, and then you don't care as much about basically donating a tool that once was yours. So that's pretty much the balance of the extended description, except that there's the product brochure that's here, and that's probably just a link or a cut sheet, I should say, out of the catalog. Let's find our strike marking tool alone. As we scroll through here, we'll see cutting tools. First of all, there's your strike locator. I would absolutely order that with this at the same time. Absolutely I would, because you won't need to wipe lipstick off of your jam. And here's your strike marking tools, your 44SM5. This is the one we're working on. You've got a full lip strike here. 2 1/4 is what that's for. Your deadbolts. And other related tools are in here as well, namely the 44LM3, which absolutely is going to be the most common of all of 3 of the strike marking tools, in the sense that this is more of a latch marking tool, where these are strike marking tools, because it's 2 1/4 tall, so that's going to be the same as the full lip strike, but this is meant for 1 inch wide and 1 1/8 wide latch bolt preparations, and you can insert or remove the shims to achieve. You can, depending on how you stack the shims, is how you achieve a 1 inch or 1 1/8 wide latch bolt prep. Really handy tool ideas in here, and I would encourage that you review it. Obviously, kits where they're included are here. Now, speaking of this catalog, there's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page, and from here you can pull up not only all of the major products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I would very much encourage you, if you have found this video because you're looking for this tool, you will want to not only take a look at this briefly, but most absolutely bookmark it. Half of this catalog for sure is full of lock installation jigs, templates, aids, whatever kind of word you want to use for it, things that will allow you to very cleanly, very quickly, very professionally end up with a preparation in a door and or frame that will allow you to be profitable, to monetize your knowledge, and that's really what all of this stuff is. And I suppose the point being is that there are so many tools in here that you'd be able to, quite frankly, you can approach prepping hardware using major tools from different points of origination. You can get there taking different paths, is what I'm trying to say. They have different platforms of material, but you'll absolutely want to dive through this. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. In conclusion, if you have any questions on the major HIT-44SM5 strike marking tool or any other major product, please feel free to reach out to us. We do attempt to stock their product line, which continues to grow with time, and we realize that a tool is no good if you don't have it in your hands when you need to start doing the job, so we do try to keep that material on hand. If you have any questions on the major line, feel free to reach out to us. If we can't get the answer, we know that the good folks over at Major will absolutely help us to get the right answer. Any questions on this or any other major product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.